Okay, today we're looking at another classic, the Apple Extended Keyboard. Well, this one's the original one, of course. These came out in the mid to late 80s, along with the M0115 as part of Apple's computer lineup back in the day. And this is probably their best and most famous keyboard. Sort of like, I know, Apple's equivalent to the Model M or something. But really great board, so let's take a look. So, as you can see here, this one is made in the USA by Alps Electric and a serial of 897444. And being built by Alps Electric means that it has excellent build quality, and yes, it's pretty heavy too. So, and let's see, yeah, 5 screws, so very easy to open and work on one of these, which is good because the switches, when I got this, they were a little bit scratchy, and some of the leaves were clicky, so I did some work. Well, yeah, I did some work with the switches, and now they feel excellent again. The reason I mentioned the serial is because if you can't get a picture of the switches, that is one indicator you can go by if you're looking for either salmon or orange Alps. This one has salmons. General rule of thumb is if it's below, what did I say, 600,000 or 700,000, very likely orange, although there is still some overlap. But if it's a higher number like this, closer to 1 million, then you're more likely to get some salmons. I, of course, want one with salmons because of the ability to repair white switch plates, as I have several spares. So that's kind of why I got this. But thankfully, I didn't have to replace any of them. So, and yes, it does have ADB ports on both sides. And even though this one doesn't have flip-out feet, once again, the angle is still pretty good for me, at least. You can see going into the layout, standard Apple layout, ANSI as well. Although the bottom row is a little bit non-standard. This is a 6.5 unit spacebar. You can see it's ABS because it's a little bit yellow. 1.5 unit, control and command keys. 1.5 unit alt keys. That isn't too bad. But coming up to the F row, all the keys on the top row here, this one too, switches are all vertically mounted. And even the keycap stems are longer. So, since Apple boards are the most common source of PBT die subs for Alps stuff, a lot of people will use like 60% or even like FRL or a whole FRL full-size board using these caps, and that's because of this limitation here on the top row. But I mean, yeah, should mention in the Ortec video that's actually not the case for the Ortec, because it has the Ortec, the Mac 105 has the Alps in normal configuration. So you can see these are nice thick die subcaps, pristine white, compared to the even yellow spacebar. This board actually wasn't yellowed that much when I got it, because I got it in like a lot of some other Apple design boards. Although after selling off those, that made the price for this one about $50 to $60, which is pretty good for one of these, because since these usually go, I don't know, they're getting up to the $100 mark again now. So I'm really happy with this one, and the fact that it's not too yellowed. So yeah, and you can see, I'll turn the light for this one, SKCM Salmon Alps switches. Although I'm not much of a tactile switch person myself, these are probably still the best ones I've tried. Although for some reason, I think it's just my taste, I still prefer some really nice rubber domes over these. But then again, that's just my taste, so your opinions may vary. But yeah, the typing noise is because of the nice, thick, roomy plastic case. This is one of the best sounding Alps boards you can get, especially like, you know, seeing people transfer like even blues into these, and they just sound so heavenly. So yeah, when I got this board, the switches were a little bit scratchy and not that nice to use, but they weren't like in super bad condition, maybe like a 7 when I first got it. So how I restored these was that, so for the tactile leaves, a lot of them being clicky, what you can do instead of a paper mod, and this is a lot quicker than doing a paper mod as well, you can bend those little 4 retaining tabs out a little so that when you put the leaf back in the housing, it's a lot more secure. And it doesn't click. And this was the first board I decided to lube some Alps switches. So what I did was use an extremely thin coat of 205G0 and just on the slider tracks and the top housing part, and that seemed to make them pretty smooth, because I think they feel like pretty close. I'd say 9 out of 10. They feel a lot nicer now, so definitely some good advice for Alps restorations. Although I got a board in with yellows the other day that are really scratchy, so yeah, I'll be working on that, I think. Tactiles aren't really quite my thing, so, but they're still nice. Yeah, I still prefer linear and clicky Alps over tactile ones, personally. Oh yeah, and the rainbow apple logo is always cool. Never disappoints. Okay, well that'll do it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and that'll be it.